there, so I remember attending the first round of her match, which was a tough match at the US Open, and then I went back home, and then I was contemplating coming back, and I wanted to witness her win, because I think she has such an amazing head on her shoulders, and the game, and I think she has a voice and a platform that's gonna,
Maria Sharapova has finally broken her silence on one of the most exciting rising stars in women's tennis, and her remarks have reverberated throughout the entire WTA Tour. The legendary former world number 1 and 5-time Grand Slam winner has made no secret of her admiration for Alex Eala and what the young player embodies for the game's future. Yet Sharapova's words carry a weight that goes well beyond simple praise for a gifted athlete. In her view, Alex Eala is far more than just another talented newcomer. She is a symbol of something the tennis world has long been waiting for. Sharapova openly shared that she has had her eye on Eala ever since the young star's stunning performance at the Miami Open the previous year. That tournament proved to be a turning point. It was the moment the tennis community understood that Alex Eala had outgrown her reputation as a promising junior prospect. She had stepped onto the grandest stage and made herself impossible to ignore, and Sharapova, who understands better than most what a true breakthrough looks like, recognized something extraordinary right away. Sharapova revealed that she was struck by the poise Eala showed when the global spotlight suddenly fell on her. Handling that kind of intense attention is no small feat, even for seasoned professionals, and it can easily unravel a young competitor. Yet Eala remained calm, sharp, and composed from start to finish. Sharapova even admitted to quietly cheering for her during critical matches, including her opening round at the US Open, expressing a genuine desire to see the young star flourish. For Sharapova, however, this was never purely about scorelines and match results. In her eyes, Alex Eala carries a deeper significance for the sport. She noted that Eala is representing Asia in a way that resonates with millions of people who have never truly seen themselves reflected in professional tennis. Sharapova acknowledged that the sport has long been shaped by players from Europe and North America, and that while tennis has expanded its global reach considerably, Asian representation at the very pinnacle of women's tennis has remained relatively uncommon.
Victories are so special, but if you treat them too high, and you treat the tough moments as a really big low in your career, it's hard to find that happy medium, and I think that's what that sweet spot is.
This is precisely why Sharapova considers Eala's ascent to be so significant. From her perspective, Eala is not merely carving out a career for herself. She is unlocking doors for an entire generation of aspiring young players across Asia who can now genuinely believe that competing at the highest level is within their reach. Sharapova went a step further, describing Alex Eala not simply as a skilled competitor, but as an emerging icon for Asian tennis as a whole. And coming from someone of Sharapova's stature, those words carry considerable meaning. Throughout her own celebrated career, Sharapova lived firsthand the weight of representing a region and a culture on the world stage. She knows intimately what it means when millions of people find a reflection of themselves in an athlete's journey. Among all the qualities that have caught Sharapova's attention, it is Eala's mindset that has impressed her most deeply. She made clear that greatness in tennis is never purely about winning. Any player can project confidence when things are falling into place. The true measure of a champion reveals itself in how they respond when everything goes wrong. And by that standard, Sharapova believes Alex Eala has already demonstrated something rare and invaluable. She noted that Eala does not only celebrate her victories with grace and maturity. She also confronts her defeats in a manner that speaks volumes about her character. Sharapova emphasized that the capacity to absorb a loss without allowing it to erode your self-belief is one of the most critical traits a professional tennis player can possess. The tour is grueling, the competition never relents, and even the sport's all-time greats lose matches on a regular basis. A player who cannot find a way to emotionally reset after those difficult moments risks watching their career unravel far sooner than it should. Sonnet 4. 6 Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.
It is not just tennis. It's fashion, it's art, it's culture, it's having a platform, and I think she does brilliantly of merging all of those together. Their victories are so special, but if you treat them too high, and you treat the tough moments as a really big low in your career, it's hard to find that happy medium, and I think that's what that sweet.
Yet according to Sharapova, Eala appears to have mastered this balance with remarkable clarity. She keeps her chin up following defeats and refuses to let a single loss cast a shadow over everything she has built. Equally, she does not get swept away in euphoria or lose her focus when she pulls off a significant victory. Sharapova described this emotional steadiness as one of the most precious qualities a young player can nurture over time. In her assessment, Eala is managing her mental state with a level of maturity that far exceeds her age. What gives this story an even more heartwarming dimension is that the admiration between these two players flows in both directions. Alex Eala has spoken openly on multiple occasions about how Maria Sharapova was among the greatest inspirations of her childhood. Like countless young tennis players scattered across the globe, Eala grew up watching Sharapova command the sport during the peak of her powers. From lifting the Wimbledon trophy as a teenager to constructing one of the most iconic and recognizable careers the game has ever seen, Sharapova's story left a lasting and profound mark on the generation that followed in her footsteps.
There's any current players or past players on the women's side that you particularly looked up to in terms of your game style, like you wanting to kind of emulate them on the court?
Definitely. Growing up, my absolute favorite was Maria Sharapova. I guess I loved.
Eala has expressed a strong desire to follow a comparable path, drawing lessons from the experiences of those who conquered the sport before her, and Sharapova has shown every willingness to pass those lessons along. In fact, Sharapova has been quietly invested in Eala's development since her junior days. Long before the Miami Open catapulted Eala onto the world stage, Sharapova had already seen the extraordinary potential sitting beneath the surface. According to those close to the situation, Sharapova has extended guidance and counsel to Eala at various points throughout her career. That mentorship has very likely helped the young star find her footing amid the intense pressures that accompany a rapid rise through the WTA ranks. With a figure of Sharapova's experience standing behind her, many followers of the sport believe that what lies ahead for Eala could be truly exceptional. Yet Sharapova is far from the only tennis legend who has sat up and taken notice of Alex Eala's emergence. Novak Djokovic, widely regarded as one of the greatest competitors the sport has ever produced, has also reportedly developed a deep admiration for the young star. His reaction following Eala's exit from Indian Wells said a great deal about the respect she has earned within the broader tennis community. Rather than dwelling on the outcome of her defeat, Djokovic's attention was drawn to something else entirely, specifically what Eala did the moment the match concluded. Djokovic reportedly remarked that watching Alex Eala on television is compelling, but witnessing her in person is something else altogether. From a man who has shared courts with the finest players across multiple generations, that observation carries tremendous weight. He portrayed her as a remarkable athlete who is earning her place in the WTA for all the right reasons, not through controversy, not through media attention, but through pure talent, unwavering dedication, and honest hard work.
She's someone I get along very well with on and off the court. Again, another physical battle, but, obviously against an opponent that was, playing on a high level. So I'm glad to overcome it. I was really blown away by how inspired she was. I was blown away by watching a great athlete.
Another prominent WTA voice who has recently stepped forward in support of Eala is Jessica Pegula. The American star made her position unmistakably clear that a single difficult defeat should never be used as the measuring stick for a young athlete's entire career. Following Eala's round of 16 exit at Indian Wells, Pegula reportedly stressed that one match result does not define a player's identity or place a ceiling on what they might accomplish down the road. She pointed out that Eala has already demonstrated remarkable potential and that her story is still in its earliest chapters. In her view, the tennis world would be far better served by stepping back and appreciating the broader picture rather than fixating on isolated outcomes. Pegula even floated the idea of inviting Eala onto her podcast so the two could have a candid conversation about the energy and fresh attention she is bringing to women's tennis at this moment. That kind of cultural influence stretches well beyond match scores and tournament draws. It helps expand the sport's reach, lights a fire in young aspiring athletes, and keeps the worldwide tennis community deeply engaged. When you step back and look at everything unfolding around Alex Eala, one conclusion becomes difficult to escape. The admiration pouring in from all directions is not hollow hype manufactured by the media. It is flowing from some of the most credible and decorated names the sport has ever known. Maria Sharapova sees a future icon carrying the hopes of an entire continent on her shoulders. Novak Djokovic sees a disciplined and focused competitor with the inner makeup of a true champion. Jessica Pegula sees a personality whose very presence is injecting new life and excitement into the WTA Tour. When legends and elite players begin speaking about someone in those terms, it tends to signal something meaningful. The tennis world appears to be watching the emergence of a genuinely extraordinary talent. Alex Eala still has a long and winding road stretching out before her, filled with triumphs, setbacks, and invaluable lessons at every turn. But if the reverence she is already commanding from the sport's most respected voices means anything at all, her greatest chapters may not yet have been written. And if Sharapova's prediction holds true, the WTA Tour could soon find itself watching an Asian superstar step fully and boldly into the brightest spotlight the game has to offer.